time to start decorating for fall certainly does not mean you have to stick with oranges, yellows, and reds. If you've been anywhere like, on the internet for the last couple years, you know that it's super cute to have your fall decorations match the decorations that are already in your house. Painting pumpkins is a very easy way to do that. Now, you could run out to the store and buy pumpkins that already match your decor colors, but if you're anything like me, you really do prefer to have the real ones. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can use milk paint to paint your real pumpkins. Coming up. Hey guys, Desiree here with Queen Bee Trending Home Fashions, and if you didn't already know, I absolutely love to paint furniture and other found items with milk paint. So here on my channel, I'll be bringing you videos full of tips and tricks on how you can use milk paint to transform your furniture and other found items. So if that sounds fun to you, you should totally subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss a thing. Okay, back to the pumpkins. Now, like I said earlier, I am going to be using real pumpkins and milk paint. And I'm sure you're probably wondering if that's just going to chip off the surface of the pumpkin. Just keep watching.
Alright, here's all the stuff that you're going to need for this project. Definitely going to need some pumpkins. I chose to do the white ones, but you certainly could choose to do the orange ones. Gotta have some milk paint. I did this project with old-fashioned milk paint in the colors Oyster White and Sea Green. I did a 1-to-1 ratio mix of each one. Extra Bond. This stuff right here is going to be the key in making this project work. Since milk paint does not like to stick to smooth and shiny surfaces, you're absolutely going to need some type of a bonding agent to make that milk paint stick and not chip off. Gonna need some paintbrushes to apply that milk paint with. There really isn't any certain type of paintbrush that's gonna work better than another one here. It's really just about size. Smaller pumpkins want a smaller paintbrush, and a bigger pumpkins probably a bigger paintbrush. Some type of a paint sealer and a way to put it on. There are several options you could choose for sealing your paint with, but in this video I'm going to be showing you dark wax and white wax too. You're also going to want to grab some type of a sandpaper. The one I have in this picture is like a sanding pad. I find that these kind of sanding apparatuses work best with rounded surfaces like pumpkins. Also going to want to grab some non-linting towels or cloths, mainly just for wiping that wax off after you get done sealing the pumpkin, and then, just whatever array of reasons that can come up that you might need to have some type of a cloth for. And then the last thing you're going to need is something to mix your milk paint with, and then also, not in this picture, a container to put your milk paint in to mix it, and some warm water. Here I have a little mini dessert whisk. I'll throw a link below in the comments for some where you can find them. I definitely think that the little mini dessert whisks work the best, especially if you're not mixing a very large amount of paint. Okay, so let's get started. The very first thing that you're going to want to do is to mix your milk paint. For this entire project, I only used a total of a half tablespoon of paint powder and a half tablespoon of warm water. So the container that I'm going to be using is like one of those little condiment ramekin things that you get from restaurants because I don't have that much paint. It's really very simple to mix your paints. Up here in this little YouTube card right there, I have a link to my how to mix your milk paint video that you can look and get some more information on how to mix your milk paint. But really it's very simple. All you do is take equal parts paint powder to warm water and then whisk until incorporated. After you're done whisking it all together, then you want to let it sit for about 15-20 minutes to let all of the pigments and clay kind of get incorporated into the water. And then after that, you're ready for your next step. Next, we are going to add our Extra Bond. This is the time you want to add it right after you've let the paint sit for, that 15-20 minutes and let everything get incorporated. I actually keep my Extra Bond in this ketchup bottle because the design of the Extra Bond package is when you try to pour it into a small measuring thing, it plops out. The directions on the back of the Extra Bond container say that you want to mix 1 parts Extra Bond to 2 parts mixed paint. Now, honestly, that can be interpreted more than one way, but for the sake of this video, let me just tell you what I do. I always just add half the amount of Extra Bond that I had warm water. Say if I was using a tablespoon of warm water, I would only add half a tablespoon of Extra Bond. Then you just whisk it until incorporated. It doesn't take very long. And then just for, good measure, a little bit extra squirt at the end here. After you're all done mixing in all your Extra Bond, you don't have to wait to let it settle at all. You are just ready to paint. So go ahead and grab your paintbrush and get that paint on that pumpkin. Just kind of however technique you want to use. There's really no special way to do this. Just putting some paint on a pumpkin. It does get kind of hard when you get down to the bottom of the pumpkin because, well, how are you going to set it down without it drying and the paint sticking to whatever it's setting on? So just whatever technique you think is the best, do it that way. Alright, so you most certainly could just put one coat of milk paint onto your pumpkin. If you do that, you're going to get a little bit more of a translucent look to it. I wanted to have more of an opaque look, so I'm going to put 2 coats on. Here is the deal. Very, very important. When you are working with Extra Bond in your milk paint, there is one really big rule that you need to follow. You only want to have Extra Bond in that first coat of milk paint. Because if you have Extra Bond in your second coat of milk paint, when you go to apply that second coat onto that first dry coat, somehow the Extra Bond in the second coat cancels out the Extra Bond in the first coat, and then it just, the whole point of having Extra Bond, which is to make your paint stick and not chip off, is void. Your paint will start chipping off of your project. So definitely a very, 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 very big rule to follow. Now, I know it seems like, well, if you just have a bunch of Extra Bond in it, on all your subsequent coats, then it's going to help your paint stick. Well, friends, that is not the case. Trust me, I have tried, and it does not work. Now, there is one exception to this rule. Your second coat of milk paint can have Extra Bond in it and safely go on the first coat of milk paint with Extra Bond in it, only if the first coat is still wet. So this is only going to work if you have a very small project, because milk paint dries really, really quickly. Only if you have a small project and if you're quick enough to get through the whole thing with the first coat of paint still being wet. And so that's what I'm doing here. Now, after you get your pumpkin all painted and it is done drying, it takes about 30 minutes, maybe an hour, this is what it's gonna look like. Nice and smooth and not chippy. Pretty nice. You certainly can leave your pumpkin unsealed for this project. Since, we're using real pumpkins, they're not gonna last forever, maybe just the season. If you don't want to go to the troubles to seal it with wax or anything, you certainly don't have to. But I'm going to give these ones an antique look, so I'm going to use some wax. But before we move on to sealing our pumpkins, I just want to show you what your pumpkin would look like if you did not use Extra Bond on this project. See, it's just so flaky and the paint does not stick to the smooth, shiny surface. Milk paint, it's just the properties of milk paint. It doesn't like smooth and shiny. It is what it is, but I mean, I love chippy just as much as the next person, but unfortunately that's not what I'm going for on this project, so have to use the Extra Bond or all of your hard work and your paint will just flake away and be gone just like that. Okay, let's move on to giving our pumpkins that antique look. So I am using a 220 sanding pad. I do love to have these type of sandpapers on hand because they really come in handy when you've got things with a lot of curved surfaces and lots of rounded edges, things like that. They just make life way easier than a regular piece of 220 sandpaper would. I actually order these from Alibaba because the only other place I can find them in my town is at the Sherwin-Williams store, and they are quite pricey for what it is. I'll totally put a link down below for these sanding pads, but if you know any place that has them that I just am not thinking of, please drop that in the comments because I would love to just go out and get them if I need them and not have to wait 27 days. And that is about all the sanding that you're going to need to do. You are now ready to add your wax. Now, I know I am breaking the cardinal rule of dark wax by not adding clear wax first to these pumpkins before add this dark wax, but you know what? I think that it will be fine because these are pumpkins, and if they end up looking a little bit dirty, then, you know, whatever, they're pumpkins, they get dirty. When you apply this dark wax, you are going to go ahead and want to cover the whole pumpkin with your wax. You want that color to kind of soak into the milk paint to give it, you know, that antiqued coloring. And then after we're all done putting it all over the pumpkin, we are going to wipe it off. So it's not going to be that dark, promise. Okay, now using one of those non-linting cloths that you grabbed, I am using like the blue shop towels. I like those because, you know, they're just a one and done type deal. I like those, or like the box of rags, like the paper ones, not the t-shirt rags. They tend to work pretty good. I've not had any disappointment so far with these type of towels. So just wipe off all of your wax with your towel. And if you want to leave some heavier wax in the little crevices of the pumpkin, that's totally fine. It will just give it that much more of a little antiqued look. And there we go. That's what it looks like. So cute. See, it has just a little subtle difference than the other one. Definitely more of an antiqued look. And I don't think it looks dirty at all. It looks cute. See? Difference. And here's the same thing, except for this time I'm going to use a white wax to show you what that will look like. And you know, guys, I really, really wish I knew where this wax brush came from, because it's got like a concave like shape to the bristles, and it's the absolute best thing for rounded surfaces for waxing, because it kind of hugs those curves and makes waxing things that have rounded surfaces like really, really easy. And all done. Here's the white one next to the regular one. See, just a little bit of a difference. Still super cute. And here is what all of our pumpkins we did today look like. The dark, the white, and just next to the one that doesn't have any wax. Here's some close-ups so you can really see the detail in them.
So that's all I have for you on this pumpkin painting tutorial today. Down below in the description, I'll drop all the links to any of the products that we used today, including a link to my website where you can find all 20 colors of Old Fashioned milk paint and Extra Bond. I'll see you guys next week for another video, but until then, you can check out another milk paint tutorial or product video right over there. And don't forget to subscribe so you can keep watching fun milk paint videos. Now go out there and have fun decorating for fall, and as always, happy painting! Bye!